So far, I was wrong about the Jets' key playmakers this preseason, or at least two of the three. Justin Fields I had well outside the top 12 all summer. He eventually fell to the QB 14 at the start of the season, but early in the preseason, he was around QB 9, QB 10. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. Um, Breece Hall was pretty steady at around an RB 16 ADP, and I thought that was ridiculous for the opposite reason. I thought that Breece Hall would finish in the top 10. And now I'm looking at it and thinking, well, do I have to completely throw in the towel on that, or will Breece Hall get back to being the Breece Hall we saw 2 years ago? And is Justin Fields actually someone that we can trust when he's healthy? Granted, they played Miami. This was they were also playing from behind. Justin Fields kind of took over the best he could and cranked out big yards, including a big run, that transformed his fantasy night. He's now, averaging about 19.3, something like that, fantasy points per game. Pretty impressive. He's had two really good games, one clunker. That's not bad, for a guy who his ADP again suggested that he was a fringe starter at best. And of course, I thought he would do worse than that. Breece Hall is around the RB 24, give or take. He's basically tied with Alvin Kamara. That isn't where he should be. Braylon Allen getting hurt last night didn't really improve Hall's production. Isaiah Davis, I think it was, just came in and played the backup role, and that is concerning. If you have Breece Hall, that here's a situation where Braylon Allen is ever present in that backfield, somewhat capping Hall's ceiling, and then Davis comes in and continues with that. So the worst part of this, if you have Breece Hall, is that the fantasy playoffs are not favorable. They're at Jacksonville and they're at New Orleans, which might be a tough out later this season. And then they play the Patriots, which might also be a pretty tough matchup in Week 16. Not favorable or Week 17, excuse me. If you play in Week 18, if you're in one of those leagues, they're at the Bills, which is not promising. This is concerning. There's a lot of favorable matchups, including Miami, and then they play Dallas, and a couple weeks after that they play Carolina and then Cincinnati. Those are doable. And then after the bye week, they've got the Browns at the Patriots, and things, are a little a question mark in Baltimore. What kind of team are the Ravens going to field? But I wouldn't part ways with Breece Hall at this point at anything less than his preseason ADP. I'll put it that way, because playing Dallas should give him more open space. Of course, after that, they play Denver, and at that point, you might consider selling if you just feel like, well, I'm going to the playoffs. I don't think that Breece Hall is going to dominate during the playoffs. It is something, I'll be honest with you, I just don't understand it. I don't understand how someone who could be that dominant. I do. I mean, we've been watching this stuff for years, obviously. We're all fantasy managers. We all get it. Running backs don't just stay on top necessarily. They can be great one year and then disappoint the next year. I thought last year's disappointment was more a fluke, and that he would get back on top. His usage in the passing game really is critically important, but he seems to be capped in an offense that is at best par, and that is concerning given the fact that there really aren't a lot of offensive weapons on this team. It's Garrett Wilson and him. There's an ascending Mason Taylor at tight end, but it's going to take a while, it appears. And there's no other reliable options. Justin Fields, as a run-heavy quarterback, might be hurting Hall. But, Breece Hall through 4 games is averaging about 21 touches. That is really good. He's averaging 4.6 yards per carry. The big problem is he has no rushing scores. That is an issue. And Justin Fields has, I don't know how many Justin Fields has, but he has at least one, I think several. And Hall's just not, he has 0 receiving touchdowns as well. That is unusual for a starting running back 4 weeks into a season. Last year he had 8. Year before that he had 9. That breakout year he had 9. And he also had 95 targets back then. He's not anywhere close to that pace this year. So the efficiency is solid. The efficiency is back where he was in his 2023 breakout. His usage is quite high. I mean, he's on pace for record touches, at this rate. The problem is touchdowns, and the problem is that he's not getting enough targets. So that might not change with Justin Fields at quarterback. And so really this next week, I think, is pivotally important because if he can't break through against Dallas, there's too many rough games ahead of him to be able to feel confident that he's going to finish in the top 20 or even the top 16 if things break perfectly. If he does break through against Dallas, if they feed him, and especially in those, high leverage situations near the goal line, then, or if they feed him more in the passing game, he can be a 20-point guy. He still has that ability. It's just that so much rides on that game against Dallas. One last thing about him is this is a winless team, and it is always risky to stay invested in players, as we know, with teams that seem to be going nowhere. And what happens later this season when you've got someone like Breece Hall? I would rather have someone on an 8-5 team going into the fantasy playoffs than a 2-11 team. So keep that in mind. I hate being wrong about this stuff. I really didn't think Breece Hall would struggle. I think once he starts scoring, if that happens, everything works out. But this offense doesn't seem to be built around him doing a lot of scoring, and that is concerning. This is BJ Riddell, Fantasy Football for Winners. Follow the blog. Email me anytime. See you tomorrow.